To just touch briefly on the Biden administration signing an executive order that is aimed at hardening federal cybersecurity defenses. Much needed, right? This executive order was signed on Wednesday. And it directs the Commerce Department to create new standards for software vendors wanting to do business or supplying the federal government in any way. And these standards will essentially be a rating system, and it mandates multi-factor user verification to new technology, adds some required encryption, and really this is comparable to modeled after the National Transportation Safety Board, this new Cybersecurity Safety Review Board, and it includes members from both the public and the private sector, and it shows the intent to moving the federal government to cloud systems that are more secure, and certainly a much needed step. There's much more ahead that we have to do, but I think this is an important move by the current administration. Chris Krebs, whose name we hear a lot and talk about a lot, the former director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, was on a podcast on CBS earlier this week, and he was saying that this move by the administration is a dramatic game changer, and it showed a commitment by the administration of prioritizing cybersecurity concerns, which we very much need. And he also mentioned that he felt like this process of standardizing systems would have a cascading effect for products that were sold to others. So for instance, if because you're doing business with the federal government, you're required to have certain things in place with regard to the software that you sell, well, then those protections will cascade down to other entities beyond the government. So that's a good thing.
I think it's a very good move. Yes. And definitely needed, considering the lack of guidance that we, guidance and sort of coordination that we have between companies that are out there. We've kind of moved into the digital age with this, ask, or do it now, ask later, kind of mentality. Put it out there. We'll secure it later.
We'll secure it later after something bad happens and we get caught.
it doesn't work.
Right.
It clearly doesn't work. And we've seen that, in our own research as well, where organizations. In fact, we did a study on customer service and customer experiences back in 2020 with SaaS, and we asked the question, do you ever? This was of about 2,000 global brands. We asked the question, do you ever implement technology knowing it's not quite secure, but pushing it out there because you need to get into the market, time to market?
I hated that answer.
And yeah, it was just surprising. Many people actually said, we occasionally might do that. And that's a mentality that just has to change. It's got to be a privacy first mentality. And, if nothing else, if the administration can put something in place that starts to, put some teeth behind that,
right?
That would be definitely a positive thing. But we've got a ways to go here on that.
We do. And we've talked in other shows in this series about some other proposed legislation about requiring notification of breaches. And the problem is that these things happen and companies are quiet about it. Colonial didn't have a choice not to be quiet about it, but a lot of companies don't say anything about it. And so then you don't know about it. And there's pros and cons to required reporting. But and we talk about this all the time, security has to be foundational in everything that every organization does. And we're not there yet. So, hopefully these kinds of things that are happening and the fact that these are, these incidences are just speeding up so much. I have some data in front of me that I was writing a separate post about. I wasn't going to cover this here, but I think it's interesting to know that Byte Defender, a cybersecurity firm, said that in 2020, there was an increase of 485 registered attacks in 2019. And those are the ones we know about.
Right.
Data from SonicWall shows that ransomware attacks rose more than 60% to 305 million, with 3.8 million encrypted threats, 4.8 trillion intrusion attempts, 5.6 billion malware attacks, 56.9 million IoT malware attacks. I mean,
Staggering.
those numbers are staggering. And so, it is not a matter of if you will be hacked. It is a matter of when you will be hacked. And, we touch on this all the time, in terms of the importance of the right security operations centers and dashboards and, working with vendor partners that can help provide those managed services, managed cybersecurity services. I mean, they're out there. People need to be using them.
Yeah, well, it is good to see the administration moving forward, and hopefully that can be turned into a global effort that spans, government and private sector. And I really hate that phrase, public-private partnership. It's not really a partnership. They just need to think together on this and be a bit more proactive, including going after some of these threat actors, which is the case with DarkSide. They are being pursued by somebody out there, and we'll talk about that as well in the later segment here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.